here comes the news. On Wednesday, Verizon suffered a massive outage in the U.S., with customers reporting their phones stuck in SOS mode with no cellular service. According to Down Detector, customers began reporting the outage around 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and it didn't come back. Other mobile carriers, such as AT&T, T-Mobile, and U.S. Cellular, were also showing outages during the same time frames. While the outage didn't affect all customers, attempting to call a number impacted by the Verizon outage resulted in a recording stating that the called party is temporarily unavailable. People in the impacted area simply had no cell service at all. Many found that they could still send texts, since many phones can use Wi-Fi to do that. Some who have Wi-Fi calling available could use that, but most people were stuck. On Thursday, Verizon apologized to customers and announced that it would provide a $20 account credit to those impacted. The credit will be available in the My Verizon app, and the customers will receive a text message when it is available. This credit isn't meant to make up for what happened. No credit really can, Verizon said, but it's a way of acknowledging your time and showing that this matters to us. Please note, everybody should be listening to this. The text message will not ask you to click on a link. It will direct you to use the My Verizon app on your phone to claim your $20 credit. We're already seeing scam texts telling people to click on a link, which will, of course, take you to a scam site. Please do not fall for it. Verizon has not provided any further information about the software issue, including what systems were involved, and it's unlikely that they ever will. So our poll of the week at soundbytes.org, that's Bytes with a Y, Francis would like us to remind you, is Verizon's outage. And your choices are, it was hell, I tell you, hell. I was pretty inconvenienced. I noticed it. I don't use Verizon. And who makes cell calls anymore? So far, there are 22 votes. I don't use Verizon. Verizon is about half of them, followed by who makes phone calls anymore. Obviously, you'll have more to say about this, so you can vote in the poll at soundbytes.org. That's Bytes with a Y, Francis would like us to remind you. And then, assuming your cell service is working, you can give us a call at 585-966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299, or toll free, 800-790-0415.
I didn't even realize it was out.
The only reason I realized it is because I got text messages from like 15 people. What's wrong with my phone?
No, I didn't even.
I don't know. I'm in my computer room. I don't know what's wrong with your phone.
Yeah, I don't get that many phone calls, and otherwise, like you say, it's text.
And then, so I got, like I said, about 15 text messages from various people. And then I looked at my phone and saw I didn't have cell service, so I looked on Down Detector and saw that Verizon was down. So I started texting everybody back saying, it's not you. They'll get to it. And then the next morning, because I didn't bother to look at it at night, the next morning it was still out, but I rebooted my phone. It came back, so I texted everybody to say, reboot your phone, you'll be fine. But
turn it off and turn it back on again.
Basically.
But always remember, sometimes it's not you.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's not you. It's not your phone.
I can hardly hear you.
It's the other end.
Yep.
So you gotta be aware that sometimes it isn't you, and that's a. But like I said, I got a bunch of people who texted me throughout the day. Is how that works. When they found that they couldn't make calls, and like you said, I spend most of my time texting.
Yeah.
So I didn't notice it at all.
I saw a cute meme where someone is saying, "Hey, you look good today," and the reply is, "Gee, thanks, not delivered." Autocorrect fix, not delivered. Autocorrect fix, not delivered. F delivered. And the other end goes, "What?"
All right, to the phones for our first caller is Larry from Rochester, New York. What's up, Larry?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Quick sound check. Do you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I solved the problem people may be interested in. It seemed to have been specific to the Chrome browser. My text cursor would disappear when I was over the text boxes, and therefore I couldn't figure out where to position it. The solution, oddly enough, seemed to be changing the text cursor to the Windows settings. And further, it was through my touchpad, not my mouse. So it took me a little bit of time to figure out, but it didn't seem to affect Firefox or anything, but whatever. I turned off GPU acceleration usage. I removed all my extensions, and the answer just seemed to be pick a different IBM cursor.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It did not appear white.
I've seen that a couple of times. I have my cursor bigger than normal because I'm getting old now.
Sure, I get that.
And sometimes it just disappears because it's not the standard size. So Apple put a neat feature in. So when you can't find your cursor, you flick your finger around, flick your mouse around, and so they make the cursor get really big so you can find out where it is.
I can do that on this machine with Alt-W.
Yeah, it finds the cursor. There it is, way up in the corner.
Yeah. So it sends a kind of a
Yep.
radar pulse around it. That's very interesting. Thank you, Larry. We appreciate that.
Yeah, just a quick note. It was the text cursor.
Yep.
The mouse pointer and all that, perfectly fine.
Interesting. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, you guys have a good one, and I'll be sending in my contribution later this week. Thank
That's
you.
what I like to
Bye.
hear. Thanks, Larry. We love it when our listeners answer questions for us. I love that. But yeah, there's one of the nice things about every operating system these days is you can change it to look the way you want. But in some cases, that causes odd problems in other programs. Like in this case, using a non-standard mouse cursor left you with no cursor in a certain window. Very weird. Very, very weird. But I'm glad to see that Larry solved this problem, and I'm glad to see that he called and told us about it. So thanks again, Larry. That's great. Appreciate it. All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Brian from Walworth, New York. What's up, Brian?
Give me a minute.
Wait, hold on. Wait, Brian. Dave is slower than he was 38 years ago.
Hey, no, wait a minute. You expect me to answer the phone, get over, hand you that. I got to get back up in the chair and cue him up.
Yes.
It doesn't happen automatically.
I apologize for thinking you were Superman. I apologize. Brian, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. And
Okay.
trust me, I sympathize with moving slower than usual.
Oh, ain't that the truth? What's up?
Okay, two related questions. Do you guys have any current recommendations for antivirus packages?
What operating system?
Windows on a laptop, Windows 11. My
AVG.
current one, I won't say what it is coming up for renewal. I guess it's been working fine, but it's quite expensive, and I'm retired and a fixed income, so.
I like it. I still use AVG. AVG, Super Anti-Spyware, and Malware Bytes.
Okay.
The reason I stick to those three, excuse me, and Nick uses Linux, so the reason I use those three is one, viruses, they're still out there. I still recommend using an antivirus program. They're not as prevalent. The key thing right now is spyware, which we recommend Super Anti-Spyware and Malware Bytes, because the people that used to write, say, the viruses and all that, to crash your machine and all that, they didn't get much money out of that. So they found that if they create this, other programs that they can go out and sniff, like your email list or where you're going and all this other stuff, and then sell that list, they can make money off of that. So that's why the spyware and malware is a big industry for folks. You'll get emails right now, it might come from your friend. You click on it, it says, check out this page, and all of a sudden, bam, you get hacked.
Yeah.
And then you call your friend and he goes, no, I didn't do that. But his machine got hacked.
Yep. I saw a new one this week. Someone got an electronic card. Here, see this new e-card someone sent you. Because e-cards are apparently popular. So
Yes.
he clicked on the link, and I noticed it went to something.de, and then it says, here, log into your Google account.
Oops.
No, that's junk. Call that person and tell them that, because it came from someone they knew. It said it came from someone they knew. That's the other problem, is the bad guys will grab mailing lists and so the address it says it came from may not be where it really came from.
Right.
Right. Now, if you go to the Security Tango at securitytango.com, on the menu across the top, there's a set of Windows software, and one of those choices is antivirus, and it shows you Avast and AVG and Komodo and several others that you can take a look at and pick the one that makes you happy.
Okay. And a related question. A friend of mine got what's called, I guess the term is email bombed. Got 60,000 emails into his file.
Wow.
Is there anything that's a defense against that sort of? Again, it didn't happen to me. He's running a Windows computer, but it sure happened to him. 60,000 emails.
Were they bounced emails?
I don't. He's 80 years old. I don't think he knows, and I didn't see it. He did say they all seem to come from quote legitimate places, like he mentioned. You know, one of the sporting goods stores like Dick's and things like that. He recognized the names.
What probably happened is his email address is on some list the bad guys have. The only way to fix that is to get a new email address until that address shows up on lists again. And so some bad guy sent out 1 million messages with him as the return address. And every message that bounced and couldn't be delivered went back to him. Everyone complaining about the junk mail reply went back to him, and it's just horrible when something like that happens. And
I read, I don't know if this is true, that the bad guys will do this and then quite kindly call you up and say, "Oh, we're from IT and we're going to fix this for you."
Yep.
And the process.
Yeah, that's the new second step now. If you don't make enough money off the email scam to begin with, then you can do the fake tech support scam.
Right.
But in this case, it kind of is real tech support. They just steal more money from you.
Right, but so his only solution is to get a new email address.
Right.
Yeah, or wait for it to pass, because eventually it will pass.
Yeah, eventually he'll get tired of it, particularly if they call him and he doesn't bite.
Yeah. So if you can try to set up...
Does his email provider have any responsibility to have him delete 60,000 emails?
Not really.
No, their job is to give you the email that's addressed to you, and that's
Who
what
is
they
his
did.
email provider, by the way?
I think he's with Verizon, and then what's the local one? Spectrum? Yeah,
Okay,
Spectrum.
No, that's Yahoo, and he'll have to do that himself.
Frontiers Yahoo.
Yeah.
Frontiers
Yahoo.
Yeah, Spectrum is so it's
you know, he's got 100 emails per page. That's 600 pages.
Right. So don't do it on the website. Do it in a mail program, like Thunderbird. So then you can do select all, and you can select all 60,000 messages at once.
All right, I didn't know about that. All right.
Yeah, we had a customer that has 80,000 Gmail messages, and their quota's full.
Really?
Yeah. They never deleted anything. And these are, it's the regular spam, but good messages in the last 10 years.
Yeah, at least delete the spam.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, I'm sorry, Brian. He's really going to have to deal with it himself pretty much.
Yeah, well, at least he's retired and he's got time, but I just decided I was going to call you guys about the spyware and stuff like that anyway. I figured I'd ask.
Yep.
All right, I'm a long-standing supporter. Thanks so much for your help. I'll pass this on to him.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much.
Tell him to listen to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not. That ain't gonna happen.
Yes.
He uses a computer but constantly complains about it. So again, he's 80 years old, guys. So you know,
if he's in a position to be able to, he could take it to a shop and have them delete it all.
80 years old isn't that old. Heck, I'm not that far from it.
Yeah, I know. The closer you get to it, the farther away it is.
I mean, I'm 75, and I didn't grow up with computers, and so while I use them, I'm actually one of the rare people. I have one of the very, very, very early degrees in computer science. But
Nice.
as I explain to people, that's a bit like having a degree in dinosaur veterinary medicine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yep.
You know, back when the computers took entire rooms. You know, it's useless now.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, he just assumes to stay away from computers if he can do it. But anyway, I try to help him out.
Yep. All right. Thanks,
Good, Brian.
Brian. Thank you. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
I can't imagine that there's any mail program, even on the web, that doesn't let you select multiple.
Yes, but the webmail programs you have to click them one at a time.
Yeah, okay,
Or at the top of the column, there's a select all.
Yeah, select all. And
But it only selects what's on that page.
Right.
And they only view 100 at a time.
although, no, at least in Gmail, there's a header up at the top.
Right.
If there's more than, say, 100, it'll say, how many are there. Do you want to delete them all? And you can select that. It takes a few moments.
Right.
And it'll go through and throw them all
That's
out.
only in your primary mailbox.
Yep.
We were trying to do this other lady, trying to do a search for mail older than 2 years. So it found 50,000 of them, and the select all didn't work. But if we do it in the like the inbox, it does. But we don't want to delete them all from the inbox. We just want to delete all the old ones.
Right.
So on a computer, you can do the click and control click to select everything in between.
Right.
Or the command control A.
Control C or Control A and select all.
Select all and then delete all.
Right.
If they are bounced messages, there's usually a pattern. It will say bounced or return to sender. You could create a filter to put it in the trash.
Say that, yeah.
But that's sort of an advanced tier.
Well, but also then you have to set your trash. How often do you delete your trash?
Yeah.
Right. So
which is usually set to 30 days.
Well, right. On Thunderbird, the default is 30 days. I've got one set to 60 because for some reason one person's email always goes into my trash, no matter what I do. I don't know why. But all my other email addresses are set to 1 day.
Some rule somewhere. We've run into cases where there's no rule on the computer, but there's a rule on the web mail.
Right.
And so we have to log in. Why is all my mail going into the trash? There's no rules in the computer. Log into the web mail. Hey, there's a filter. Move to trash.
No, I've checked that on this one. It's just this one person, for whatever reason, the web doesn't like her, apparently. I don't know. I'm not the only person she has this problem with.
Weird.
Does
she have a strange email address that looks spammy?
No. Who knows? Who knows? Just the vagaries of the internet, I suppose. But yeah, so one of the problems we have, of course, is that email was never designed to be secure, and it was never designed to be big. Mm-hmm. It was designed originally for a couple of people at a university to use internally. And then they decided we're gonna spread it out to all the other 6 universities that are on the internet at this time, so that we can share research. Well, people were sharing research. They didn't need to protect anything because they were publicly sharing stuff. They didn't need to protect anything because they knew everybody they were sending to, so they didn't need antivirus or any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And there were, a total of maybe 50 people on the internet ever.
Yep.
And so they didn't need it to be huge and manage a lot of stuff. But as it grew, email didn't really grow with it.
And suddenly we're making purchases on the internet and need security in our email. And it's very hard to add that on later.
Right.
Some malicious mail server along the way says, I don't know anything about security. And the one upstream says, okay, here's the plain text.
Yep. And you can add PGP, pretty good privacy, or GPG, GNU Privacy Guard, to your email program. But that's not easy. And it also is complex because let's say Steve and I both want to send each other encrypted messages. Mm-hmm. On both of our machines, we have to install an encryption program into our email program. We have to set up our encryption key, and we have to then share that encryption key with the other person.
Over a secure channel.
Over some sort of secure channel, whatever that may be.
Yeah. The joke was always in a wide open field, under a tarp, naked.
Right. And with notepaper that you then eat.
Yeah.
But yes, you can. It's a public-private key pair, so you can put the public key out there. I get all that, but even so, it's very hard to do. And then you have to install it in the software, and then I have to be able to tell my software nothing you send is encrypted unless I'm sending to Steve. And not every software program, every email program handles that. So it is still a very complex thing to do. Yes, there are Proton Mail makes it a little bit easier, but it doesn't really encrypt the message as such. It encrypts the transmission of the message.
Most email programs will encrypt the transmission of the message.
Right.
And email services, Proton Mail is probably one of the more popular ones for sending secure messages, but only inside of Proton Mail.
Right.
Apple to Apple is secure. Google to Google is secure.
Right.
But once it has to cross the boundary to go to a different system on the public internet, it's not secure anymore.
So
Email
right now,
to AOL or...
Right. If I send a message to Dave, we both have Gmail addresses, it's encrypted end to end. If I send a message to Steve and he's on Apple Mail, or whatever they're calling it this week, it gets decrypted at Google before it gets sent to Apple, because it has to.
Yep.
Yeah. Two different services.
Right. So
every email server in the world would have to be updated at exactly the same time to support encryption.
right.
And every email client of every person using the internet at the same time.
Yep. I've told people it's a thought experiment.
Yeah.
What if the only way you could get a light to turn on is if everybody on Earth turned on a light at exactly the same moment? And only then does anybody get light. How often do you think you're going to get light? Ain't going to happen. And that's what would have to happen with email to make it secure now.
There was a what if similar to that. What if everyone in the world jumped up at the same time?
I saw that, yeah.
What would the resulting seismic wave be?
Right. But yeah, so there's just a lot. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes than we think.
Think of email as a postcard.
Yes.
Anyone can read it along the way. They probably won't, but they could.
Right. And so, and the same is true of when you're sending
Do
things.
people remember postcards anymore? I guess I am old.
You are old.
No, I still mail them out.
Yep.
For my ham radio, I've got what they call QSL cards.
Yep.
Sure.
And it's a postcard. With
Yeah, but you're using radio. How
Yeah.
old is that?
The Marconi Wireless.
Yeah.
So, for you, postcards are newfangled technology.
Well,
He's trying to think of a comeback, ladies.
well, no, that's gone high tech now too.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, there's what they call ESQL, and it's an electronic QSL card, and a lot of folks are doing that because postage has gotten so darn expensive.
Yeah.
And it's like, back in the day when I first started getting into it, I mean, I literally have thousands.
I know people who paper their ham shacks with them.
I've got it. Yeah, I've got all my walls right now.
Yeah.
If you were to come into my shack, I've got hanging these hangers that have QSL cards in them. Matter of fact, I got one section I was looking for all the 50 states. Another one that people that have what I call license plates. My QSL card looks like a New York State license plate.
Right.
So I put
It is a New York State license plate.
Yeah. Well, it does because it's off my my old Harley.
Right.
And so the walls are plastered with it, and then I also have 3-ring notebooks, and the big ones,
Yep.
and I've already filled 2 of them.
Yep.
Because back when I first started, I was sending out easily each week 20, 30 cards,
Right.
and I'd get that many back.
Right.
But now once they started upping the postage, people have switched over to the QSL cards online.
Right. And we also see that. All right, we're done. All right, that music tells us that the first segment of this show is in the books, but we're not done. It's a whole another hour and a half of this show coming your way. Assuming you can stay awake, I'll try to. Steve might, and Dave won't. But you can give us a call at 585-966-JAZZ. It's 966-5299. Or toll free at 800-790-0415. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with more of the longest running computer show in the known universe, Sound Bytes, right here on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Computer talk you can understand. More Sound Bytes is next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carton. A federal judge is placing restrictions on the actions of ICE agents in Minnesota. Judge Kate Menendez issued the ruling in Minneapolis Friday, barring federal agents from retaliating against peaceful protesters. Agents are also banned from using pepper spray or similar non-lethal munitions against peaceful demonstrators. The order also prevents agents from stopping vehicles that are following them as long as they're maintaining a safe distance. President Trump is having second thoughts about invoking the Insurrection Act in Minnesota. Before leaving the White House for Florida on Friday, Trump was asked about using the act to quell protests continuing in Minneapolis. Trump said there's no reason to use it at this time, adding that if he needed it, it was available to him. The Insurrection Act would give Trump the authority to deploy the military to suppress a rebellion on American soil. And it's the Seahawks against the 49ers tonight in an NFC divisional matchup. Lisa Carton, NBC News Radio.
Does the keto diet butter up trouble? This is Sandra Tsing Loh with the Lowdown on Science. Keto promises weight loss by swapping carbs for fat. But what happens to your metabolism when you go full fat? Enter Molly Gallup and team at the University of Utah, Salt Lake City. After 9 months, mice on keto diets weighed less than those on carb-based diets. But there's a catch. After a meal, keto mice had an overall higher blood sugar, and it took 3 times longer for it to return to normal. Keto may help you lose weight, but it could throw your body's sugar control out of whack. Keto isn't just about cutting carbs, it's cutting corners with your metabolism.
The Lowdown on Science is a production of University of California Irvine Science Communication and LAist 89.3.
Jazz 90.1 and the Eastman School of Music are proud to present Will Moyle's Essence of Jazz radio program. His broadcasts included interviews with some of the most prominent jazz musicians, including Duke Ellington, Louis Bellson, Pepper Adams, Tony Bennett, Charlie Bird, and more. Listeners can again enjoy these broadcasts every Saturday night at 6 p.m. on Jazz 90.1 FM and streaming online at jazz901.org.
Are you thinking of adding a pet to your family? Greece Residents Assisting Stray Pets, or GRASP, is committed to reducing the number of homeless pets by placing dogs and cats into compatible, loving, permanent homes. For more information on how you can give a homeless pet a second chance through adoption, visit graspinc.org. GRASP, striving for the day when every dog and cat will live in a loving, safe, and healthy home.
Hey, it's Dave Koz, and this weekend on the Dave Koz Radio Show, Boney James is my very special in-studio guest. He's got a brand new CD to share with us. It's going to be a lot of fun, as usual. So plan to be here, and remember, you can visit davekoz.com anytime and be here this weekend with Boney James for another edition of the Dave Koz Radio Show.
The Dave Koz Radio Show, Tuesday nights at 6 on Jazz 90.1 and Sunday afternoons at 3 on Jazz 90.1 Smooth Grooves Radio.
Hi, I'm Marcel Spears. Keeping our global neighborhood safe is a tough job, made easier by America's brave military dogs. These dogs keep our troops safe by sniffing out bombs and IEDs and locating enemy positions. Yet when these K9 heroes retire, they're too often left overseas. American Humane works to bring these valiant dogs home and reunites them with their handlers for happy, healthy retirements. To learn how you can help, visit AmericanHumane.org.
It's not a big deal.
Snap out. Just get over it.
We've all heard it. But if you're experiencing extreme stress, it's not just in your head. It can affect your entire body because toxic stress can hurt us physically without us even knowing it. If you've lost a job, worry about your next meal, or have trouble making it through the day, if you're feeling the effects of stress, we can help. Text STRESS to 211-211 to find a solution.
Here's the latest Jazz 90.1 weather forecast.
Cloudy with a breeze out of the south initially for the day today across the Rochester area. That wind will shift into the west, and we'll see some scattered showers of rain and wet snow developing. But I'm not expecting any real accumulation. The high temperature in the upper 30s. For your Saturday night, it's mostly cloudy, turning colder. The overnight low temperature near 20 with a gusty southwesterly breeze. On Sunday, plan on a blend of clouds and sun. The high temperature in the mid-20s with some lake flakes flying about. I'm meteorologist Josh Nichols for Jazz 90.1.
And currently right now we've got cloudy skies, 37 degrees out at the airport and 38 here at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 35 minutes after the hour, we are Sound Bytes. This week, it's Microsoft news now. This week we had the first Tuesday of the month, and that means Microsoft issued patches to plug at least 114 security holes that were open for at least a month in its various Windows operating systems and supported software.
Most of you Windows 10 people will not get these.
Exactly right. I'll mention that later. 8 of the vulnerabilities earned Microsoft's most dire critical warning rating, and the company warns that attackers are already exploiting one of the bugs. Bug fixes were for Windows, Office, and other Microsoft software. 114 is a lot. So are 8 that are critical, and that doesn't even include the bug fixes. So make sure your Windows 11 system is up to date. For you troglodytes still on Windows 10, you also got an update, but just for the security stuff, not the bugs. You only got a fix for 3 of the 0 days. 3 out of 8. That's less than half for the enumerate among you. It also removed some drivers that were vulnerable. That's right, rather than fixing them, Microsoft removed them. So if something you have connected to your computer stops working, it's likely Microsoft's fault and there's no fix. Both updates also fixed some security certificates that were expiring. Oh, if you're one of Microsoft's 365 Cloud PC users, the latest update blocks you from using it. That's convenient. I haven't seen a notice that it's fixed yet, so Microsoft has resolved a known issue that was causing security applications to flag a core Windows component, the company said in a service alert posted this week. The list of affected systems is quite extensive and includes Windows 10, Windows 11, and servers 2012, all the way through Windows Server 2025. There have been false positives from Defender over the last few months, but if you'll just wait a month, Microsoft will fix them, I'm sure. Speaking of which, Microsoft has confirmed a new issue that prevents Windows 11 23H2 devices with System Guard Secure Launch enabled from shutting down. System Guard Secure Launch is a Windows security feature designed to protect the boot process from firmware-level attacks and malware such as rootkits. According to Microsoft's also helpful explanation, and I quote, after installing the January 13, 2026 Windows Security Update for Windows 11 version 23H2, some PCs with secure launch are unable to shut down or enter hibernation. Instead, the device restarts. End quote.
And how do I fix that?
No fix, just this is what happens. Microsoft also
what do you want to shut down your computer for anyway?
Exactly. Microsoft also helpfully suggests you save your work regularly. Thanks, Microsoft.
Gee.
If you're one of the people who use Microsoft Lens, also known as Office Lens, on your Android or iOS phone, you should know it's going away. You can still scan documents via OneDrive, but this nonsense of using your own devices to do it is going away. Put all your data in OneDrive, citizen, and move on. Well, we don't want your data, just your problems. So give us a call at 585-966-JAZZ. It's 966-5299. Or toll free at 800-790-0415. This is really going to start biting Windows 10 holdouts in the butt. Like I said, of the 114 errors of which fixes, of which 8 are critical, Windows 10 only gets 3 of them. 3 of the critical ones. You are getting more and more vulnerable if you are using Windows 10, and Microsoft doesn't care.
And it's not anything you overtly do. It's some website you go to will have a malicious ad on it that will take over your screen and steal your data.
Or you open an email that's got a malicious code in it somewhere. All of these things are easy enough to craft. and are being sent out constantly. If you are still on Windows 10, every single day you are more and more vulnerable. And like I said, there was a bunch of drivers that were problematic. Microsoft fixed them in Windows 11 and just disabled them in Windows 10. So if you have a device in Windows 10 that just stopped working, you now know why, and there is no fix for it.
The one thing that still ticks me off is because of, say, and I'm a victim of one of them, these incidences, where I bought a new computer just last year. It's a brand new computer, but because of the chipset that's in it, because the market was so flooded with systems, they were trying to use up those chips that were in there. So it's a new system to me, and then all of a sudden Windows says, "Oh, no, sorry, we don't support that anymore, and you got to go out and get a new computer." Wait a minute. If I just spent, say, $1,000 on this this tower, mini tower that I've got going, and now you're telling me it's only a few months old, I got to throw that out and go to your new Windows 11 system because that's got the more expensive chips in it and that? No, thank you.
Microsoft doesn't
No, they don't. They don't give a rat's butt about it, and that's why they're seeing slowly more and more folks either go to a Chromebook or to Linux.
Yep.
So if you haven't signed up for Windows 10 consumer extended security updates,
you got none of those updates.
You've got right. So sign up for those. You can use your Bing points, which most people don't know they have or not.
Yeah.
But
you'll be surprised.
Yeah, set Bing as your default search engine for a few days, and
a few days is all you need.
You'll earn it. Yeah, you earn enough points. Back up your settings to OneDrive. I don't know. I want my settings on my computer in my house that I own.
Right.
Or you can pay $30. So that's the worst case.
Right.
To keep getting the Windows 10 updates.
But even with the Windows 10 updates, there's a bunch of stuff that came out this month you are simply not getting. Because again, Microsoft doesn't care about you. They want you off of Windows 10. And the easier they make it, the harder they make it for you to keep your machine running, the more likely you will be to move to Windows 11. Now, what a lot of people are doing are moving to Linux or a Mac, but Microsoft assumes that you're going to stick with Windows. And I get it. Learning something new is a pain in the patoot. Believe me, I understand that. But I just got a new car. Well, I got a used car.
It's a new car to you.
It's a new car to me. And it's way newer than my old car. And way newer than my old car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is that, I got this new car and everything's in a different place. And there's all these new features that I had to learn.
Rediscover.
Well, guess what? I learned them. I'm not stupid. I could learn the new stuff.
Yeah.
That was my attitude back, in my case, 25, 30 years ago when I first started looking at Linux. I'm not stupid. I can learn this.
There are so many videos, though, out there right now that people could...
I had none of that 30 years ago.
Yeah, but nowadays, there are so many videos out there. Folks go, well, I don't know how to install it. There's a video for that. And it'll do it on whatever flavor of Linux you want.
Right.
There's somebody that's put it out and said how to set it up just to do the basics. And then you can view more. You could literally view from now until the end of the year, even just viewing one video and still not get them all for the videos that are out there on how to do Linux, whether it's a terminal mode or installing programs or updating things or what flavor you want. There are YouTube videos out there for that, so there is no excuse. All it is a matter of you not having the time or want to put the effort in to do it. It's easier to just sit back and say, oh, no, that's too hard.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
And before we go too far, I know there were a bunch of you who started to shiver when Dave said terminal mode. You almost never need terminal mode anymore in Linux. There are some esoteric things that you have to do. One of the things is I put up a thing about how to put fingerprint reader on your system. And it depends on which hardware your fingerprint reader uses. Some of it is available through your software store, just like you have a Microsoft store.
Yep.
You can go into the software store and say, install this, click, and it's done.
And
if it isn't that, then you do have to go to the command line and type in 3 whole commands.
Well, and Windows has a terminal mode.
Yes, Windows has a terminal mode.
It's always been there.
Right, it's always been there. How often have you needed to use it?
Right, almost never. And in the store, each version of Linux has its own software store, but they're all essentially the same. And each of them has thousands and thousands of programs in them.
You'll go blind looking.
That's one of the problems that Linux has. In Microsoft, you get one operating system with one front end and one Office suite and one browser.
Well, that's how I went through that store, the Linux store, and found Money Dance. It was due to there that I wound up finding
but
that.
But my point is, most people don't ever look past what they are given day one.
Yeah.
Now, when you have a Linux machine, you have to pick what version of Linux. People are stuck right there. Yeah. I will tell you right now that the 2 big ones right now are Zorin and Linux Mint. And those are the 2 that most Windows users find easiest and most convenient to use. And the difference between them is Moxnix. It hardly matters which one you pick. You pick one and you install it. And then it comes with Firefox already installed. It comes with LibreOffice already installed. Each one has its own software store with thousands and thousands and thousands of programs in it. And it just works every single day. I put each of them on an old laptop, and both of them installed flawlessly. You as with any computer, if you're going to do that, you as it boots up, you press whatever key, F12, F9, whatever the key is. That I can't help you with. That has to do with hardware.
Yeah, each system is different.
System is different. But once you do you plug your drive in, you turn it on, you hold the key down, it comes up and says, well, where do you want to boot from? And you say, I want to boot from the thumb drive. And it comes up with an installer. And it says, what do you want to do? I said, I want to install Linux. Okay, do you want to erase the old machine? Do you want to dual boot? What do you want to do? I want to erase the old machine and just be completely Linux. Okay, I'll do that. Give me your name. Give me your password. We're in. We're done. Thank you.
One other feature, though, to back up just a little bit, is when you're doing that, Linux is so unique that before installing, it'll say, do you want to try it out?
Oh, yes, you can do yes.
Do a trial. So if you're not sure what flavor you want to do, you can put your flash. So if you got multiple flash drives, you can put it in, say cinnamon, put it in, say do the trial run. It'll run slower because it's uncompressing it from the flash drive, but you can see the look and feel of it. Right. If that's not for you or not sure yet, pop that one out. Put the next version in, say XFC or whatever. Put that in. You can do a trial run.
Right, you can play with it.
And not even, then you can decide which one you want to go through. It will go ahead and install it, put all the files in there, and wham, bam, you're all set.
And in both of them, in each of them, when I installed it, it found my printer, it found my network. I had to put in the password, of course, for my network, but it found my network.
Yeah, sound cards,
video cards. My sound cards and my video card and everything else. Just like Windows does. There's no difference.
Yeah. Automatically.
It's real easy to use, and particularly nowadays, when lots of people have bought new computers, they've still got that old one sitting around. Throw Linux on it and play.
Yeah.
You can't hurt it unless you're typing with a hammer. It's very hard to hurt it.
But the thing of it is, though, folks get in the mode, well, that's an old computer. It may be old to Windows.
Yeah.
But it's not old to Linux. It's probably so much more horsepower when you compare apples to apples, when you're comparing the Linux to your new Windows machine. Linux might even edge out, even though it's on an older machine, and it's got maybe some more memory, because the new machine, you couldn't afford that much more memory. And, because it costs so much more now with chips and everything else. All of a sudden, you might see, oh, wait a minute, this Linux machine is running faster than this machine.
Well, look at this. I bought this machine in 2012.
Yeah, you've had it.
It's 13 years ago. Mm-hmm. It runs great. It runs Linux. It runs it super fast.
Mm-hmm.
I never ever worry about am I going to run out of room? Am I going to slow down? It can't keep up. I never worry about any of that.
And the biggest thing most people use their computer for is web browsing and email.
You can do that in Chromebook.
In Chrome.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what computer you have.
Well, exactly.
Everything runs Chrome.
This
or
computer,
a browser.
I'll tell you how old this computer is. It came with Windows 8.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it runs Windows. It runs the version of Linux I'm using is Xubuntu or Xubuntu. I don't care how you pronounce it.
Ubuntu.
Yeah, Ubuntu.
Yeah, it's
Ubuntu.
Probably is one of the Yeah.
Probably is. Well, it's because it's based on XFCE.
Mm-hmm. I like access.
Yeah. But it's ridiculously fast. It boots up in 8 seconds, for heaven's sake. 8 seconds on a 13-year-old computer. I can boot it up in 8 seconds.
Well, I'm running it on 4 of my Raspberry Pis.
Yeah.
Because all they are is out there is servers and backup. And they're down in the basement. I don't even think about it. They just run. They're quick. They're fast. Matter of fact, this new program that I've been talking about for my ham radio, I wound up taking one of my Raspberry Pis and dedicating it for the file because it's using SQL now.
Yeah, you said that SQLite.
Yeah, and I just put it out there, and now my 3 computers can talk to that. It's fast. Boom! It pulls the data up, and I've literally got over close to 50,000 files, lookups, and it does it fast.
SQL is fast to begin with, and a Raspberry Pi is way fast enough to do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it does, and it does it, effortlessly with little electricity too.
This week I had a problem with one of my Raspberry Pis. The fan started making this horrendous noise. I cleaned it. Nope. It was less, but it was still making a horrendous noise.
Yeah.
So I got a new case. That's all I did. Got a new case. Put it together. That fan was louder. So I took the new fan off, put the old fan in the new case, and it's quiet. It had to be the case in some way rattling around. I don't know what it was,
reverberation.
Yeah, whatever it was, fine. Fine. I don't care. I just don't care now.
Apple went to asymmetric blades to quiet their fans.
Yes. Yes.
That's why they cost more.
And it makes a little tiny bit of whispering noise. I mean, that's the fan sound. And it's because I set it on high. I could, I suppose, go in and set it to low.
Yeah.
But
as long as it's cool in that room.
Fine. Yeah. It's fine. Well, in the winter I close the door and turn the heater on, so I don't mind it being on a little high. And it's just a little. It's like if you had an air conditioner on real low, you'd hear that in the background.
Oh yeah,
I just set my fans up to 6,000 RPM max, and you can kind of hear them.
I can hear them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My computer dropped from 167 degrees to 160 degrees.
There you go.
Turning the fans up.
What a shock!
Yeah. Most people complain about the fan noise. Well, if the fans are coming on, your computer's hot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't complain about that.
Clear the vents off the back of your computer.
Well,
that'll help a lot.
Well, that was one thing. It did the Raspberry Pi was a little dusty, but
every so often you gotta just take some canned air to them and blow them out.
Yep.
Because like we've said, even the people, we've discussed this before, that put their computers down on the floor and they're like a big vacuum cleaner, especially if you have pets.
Yep.
Sucks it on in like nobody's business.
Well, and when somebody gives me a laptop to move on to somebody else, the first thing I do is take it apart and blow air through it, clean out a little bit. I don't I didn't do a full, I don't take a toothbrush to it or
Yeah.
anything, but
That's one of the problems with trying to blow air into it is oftentimes you're blowing more dust onto the components that shouldn't. Yeah.
you got to take the back off and
Yep.
really clean it out.
You got it. So generally speaking, the fan sucks, or multiple fans on a lot of computers,
Right.
will suck air in the front and then blow it out the back.
Right.
So what I'll sometimes do is I'll have the blow in the front and a vacuum cleaner in the back.
Oh yeah, that'll work.
Try to blow all the way through and then suck it out, and then it keeps the dust out of the service room too.
I'm very upset. I've got a Mac that works, but the battery's dead, and I've got a Mac that doesn't work. I've told you this. The RAM died, but the battery's good.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot get the screws out of the one with the bad RAM. So I was going to open it up, take the battery. It's the same model. It's a MacBook Air, MacBook Pro.
Drill it out.
I'll have to do that, but it's just, I thought, this will be easy. I mean, it's 2,000 tiny little screws, but
it's a 5-point pentalobe screw.
I've got that.
You've got the right driver.
I've got the right driver. That's not the problem.
They're
The problem is that this one is apparently stripped,
Yep.
so I can't get it out no matter what I do.
I get a few like that. T3s and T4s are so tiny and they strip so easy, I end up needing to replace them a couple times a year.
Yeah. All right. Back to the phones. Our next caller is Don from Pittsford, New York. What's up, Don?
Yes, a quick question. You praised the virtues of Linux. I'm a photographer and a heavy user of Adobe Bridge and Photoshop. Are those programs usable on Linux?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. There are certain versions of Linux, like Zorin, that you can install things like Photoshop on them.
Because it loads the Windows subsystem underneath, basically.
Right. It is not a beginner's thing, but it is doable. There are also alternatives in Linux that people use, Darktable and a couple of others, the GIMP and some others that people use, and it depends on what it is you do as a photographer. If you're mostly looking at photos and picking out good ones, something like Darktable is all you need. If you're editing photos, then maybe the GIMP or some other program. GIMP stands for GNU Image Manipulation Program, or one of the others would suit you. But again, to use those, you're learning a new product. And I do understand that for someone who makes their living at something, you'd rather be working than learning. And I do understand that.
Well, I've got an awful lot of files in Photoshop, and I would certainly like to be able to use them in a new operating system.
Sure.
And with transfer and continuing on, and in terms of editing and manipulation, yes, I'm heavily into that with Photoshop.
Yeah. So most of the alternative programs can read a Photoshop file because Photoshop is the king. It's like all word processors pretty much can read a Microsoft Word file.
Right.
But it would be a different program that it would take some time to learn, and people that have been into Photoshop for so long that it's second nature to them, it can be tricky to transfer.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we saw when Adobe went a subscription only is a lot of people left Photoshop, and there's a really, really nice suite called Affinity Photo that's free for Mac and Windows. I don't know if it's available for Linux yet, but a lot of people have switched over to that. And Adobe does have their $10 Photoshop only subscription. If Photoshop is only what you need, then $10 a month isn't too bad versus the $70 a month for the whole suite.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for the information.
All right, thanks. All right, that music tells us we are done with the first hour, but do not despair. There's a whole other hour of the longest running computer show in the known universe coming your way. A whole other hour of Dave Enright, a whole other hour of Steve Ray, a whole other hour of me, Nick Francesco, and a whole nother hour of you, but only if you give us a call at 585-966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Or toll free at 800-790-0411. We'll be here for another hour, so don't rush, but make that call, and we will be happy to talk to you there. And don't forget to vote in the poll. There's already 33 people who've done so, but we need your vote as well. And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with a whole lot more sound bites on the truly great and truly grateful to you that you continue to support us, Jazz 90.1.
Before you call into our show, please make note of the following rules. 1, turn your radio down. 2, turn your radio down lower. 3, remember, nobody has invented a good-sounding speakerphone yet. Don't use them. 4, make sure you have a point. It makes for a more interesting show. 5, calling does not guarantee you'll get on the air. No whining. 6, if you do get on the air, please do not tell the host what you just told the screener. We don't care. And 7, is that radio turned down yet? We hope this will make for a more enjoyable program, and we thank you for your time.
Online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at soundbytes.org. More with Nick Francesco, Dave Enright, and Steve Ray next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
WGMC Greece Rochester, a public service of the Greece Central School District, Jazz 90.1.
Online at jazz901.org.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carton. A federal judge is placing restrictions on the actions of ICE agents in Minnesota. Judge Kate Menendez issued the ruling in Minneapolis Friday, barring federal agents from retaliating against peaceful protesters. Agents are also banned from using pepper spray or similar non-lethal munitions against peaceful demonstrators. The order also prevents agents from stopping vehicles that are following them as long as they're maintaining a safe distance. President Trump is having second thoughts about invoking the Insurrection Act in Minnesota. Before leaving the White House for Florida on Friday, Trump was asked about using the act to quell protests continuing in Minneapolis. Trump said there's no reason to use it at this time, adding that if he needed it, it was available to him. The Insurrection Act would give Trump the authority to deploy the military to suppress a rebellion on American soil. And it's the Seahawks against the 49ers tonight in an NFC divisional matchup. Lisa Carton, NBC News Radio.
Jazz 90.1, now available on the Odyssey app.
I've been driving trucks for a long time. Safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hi, I'm Dr. Anita Chandra with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. As a parent, you are your child's first teacher. Like all students, kids will make mistakes. Your goal is to encourage the behavior you want to see. Set clear expectations, reward good behavior, and withdraw privileges when needed. What doesn't work is spanking. It only increases the risk your child will be aggressive. For more strategies on child behavior, talk with your pediatrician or visit healthychildren.org.
Using meth taught me everything about freedom, only not like you think. It taught me how easy it is to lose your freedom. If you think meth is taking control of you, ask for help. You have the power to be truly free. I know. I'm Jan, and I'm free from meth.
If you or someone you know is struggling with meth, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential treatment referral. Learn more at samhsa.gov/meth.
At the National Children's Cancer Society, we know that the best treatment in the world doesn't matter if a child can't get there.
The social worker here, she told me about NCCS. I feel that it's amazing that there's organizations out there that are assisting parents like myself with gas reimbursement, funding. It helps out a lot.
To help in our mission or just learn more about the NCCS, visit thenccs.org today.
Welcome back to America's longest-running computer show, Soundbites, on member-supported Jazz 90.1. Get online now. Call 966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll-free 800-790-0415. Or submit your question by email at soundbites.org. Once again, here's Nick Francesco, Dave Enright, and Steve Ray on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm David Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 4 minutes after the hour, you're hurtling headlong into the second hour of the longest-running computer show in the known universe, Sound Bytes, right here on member-supported Jazz 90.1. Before I read the news, I should tell you that apparently Canva, C-A-N-V-A,
Yeah.
who own Affinity, have said that they are indeed working on a GNU Linux version.
Nice.
But it's not out yet. So those of you who would like something like that, I suppose the more people who write to them.
Explain, Lucy.
Yeah. We were a little afraid when Canva bought Affinity that they'd cancel the free program. But they've said right on it, free forever.
Free forever. Affinity is the program Steve was talking about. It's Affinity Design or Affinity Photo and Affinity Publisher, which essentially are the Adobe suite, right? Canva is the company that owns them now, and GNU Linux is Linux, and that's the thing that they said they're going to do that. They intend to do that. I don't know how far along they are in the process, but that's obviously it's not going to be their number one priority. But if enough people write into Canva and say we really want an Affinity client native to Linux, then yeah, they'll do it. So
and it says it works in Wine. So
it does work in Wine.
Yeah.
And if you're using Zorin, it should install automatically with Wine. So that's a possibility. But yeah, it's certainly. Well, look, it's free, so give it a try. How wrong can you go? It's free. All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Mark from Rochester, New York. What's up, Mark?
Good afternoon. You folks were very kind to try and help me out a couple weeks ago, but I still think I'm kind of in a catch-22 situation.
Okay.
I'm currently running Mint, which I like very much, and I'm planning on getting a new computer.
Okay.
Now, you suggested that there's a secondary program that I need in order to be able to install the new Linux on the new computer.
Okay. Go ahead.
I also understand that in Mint, that other program shows up on the old computer, but on the new one, how am I going to be able to put everything on that thumb drive to be able to install everything onto the new computer?
All right, so first you have to install Mint on the new computer, clean, just the way you installed it on your old computer.
Oh, okay.
It'll likely come with Windows, so you need a boot disk. So you create your boot disk, and then you can erase Windows and install Linux, unless you want a dual boot and have both.
No.
No.
No. What I did originally when I got my older computer, I just stuck in the Linux Mint and said, get rid of everything and install yourself, and it did a wonderful job.
Right, and that's what you would do on the new machine.
That's what I did on my old machine.
Right, and you would do the same thing in your new machine. You would just do the same installation.
Same procedure.
Which creates a brand new copy. Now, what you need to do is, I don't know what apps you're using. You could use Aptik, which will move over settings. There's a way to do it with dpackage, and I can tell you about that in a minute.
Okay.
But if what you're most worried about is your data, then you can just copy your whole home directory over from one machine to another.
Yes, that's what I plan on doing.
Okay. So there are several ways to do that. If it's not a huge amount of data, or if it is and you've got a huge drive, you can attach a USB drive of some sort to one machine, copy it all to that, and then copy it over to the other. Or you can use a program called SSH to move from one machine to another. Or you can use, I think Aptik only does, it's APTIK, I think that only does settings. I think, hold on a second. Yeah, no, applications and user data. So it looks like what you could do is run Aptik from one machine to the other. So you install Linux on the new machine. You install Aptik on the new machine. And I've never used it, but I believe what you do is you hook them together through the internet, essentially, and move all your data over your local network, not the internet, your intranet, your local network.
Okay. So, in other words, so I totally understand this. If I make a copy on a thumb drive, and then I can go into the BIOS on the new machine and tell it to load from the thumb drive.
Well, let's back up a step. When you say make a copy on a thumb drive, what you're going to do is download the installer, the live CD installer from, let's say, the Linux Mint website.
Because you want a new one. You don't want the old one that you installed years ago.
Right. What you do is you go to, just like you did the first time, you go to the Linux Mint website, you download the installer, you use Rufus or
Etcher,
Bellina Etcher, to create the drive, and then you plug that in the new machine, and from there, yes, you go into the BIOS and say boot from whatever, and install it from there.
So, this installer, I put that on the thumb drive first, and then I put it on the actual ISO for the Mint.
Well, you use something like Bellina Etcher or Rufus to take that ISO and turn it into a bootable thumb drive.
Yes.
You can't just copy the ISO over to the thumb drive. That will not work.
Okay.
So
well, I'll give that a try and we'll see how it all turns out.
So when you did this the first time, you put Linux on the machine you're already using, correct?
That is correct.
And that came from a thumb drive, correct?
No, it didn't. That came from a CD.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, yes. It's the same idea. So what you need to do is you download the ISO from, which is actually a CD format, from the website. And then you use a program. Let's say you're in Linux. You can install Bellina Etcher, Balena, Bellina Etcher, like etching a
CD.
A CD.
You're burning a CD.
Yeah, you're etching a CD. So Bellina Etcher, and you run that, and what it'll say is, what's your ISO? And you point it to the ISO you downloaded. Okay, where do you want that ISO to go? And you point it to the thumb drive, and you say go. And then you wait a while, and you will now have a bootable thumb drive with Linux on it.
I see.
Then you go to the new machine, and again, you either use F9 or whatever key you use, or you go into the BIOS and tell it to boot from the thumb drive. But if you go into the BIOS, then remember when you're done to go back into the BIOS and tell it boot from the hard drive again. But you can however you boot that thumb drive, you boot into that, and now you're in the installer, and it will start with, hey, do you want to just play around with it in a live CD version, or do you want to install it? And if you say install it, then it'll say, okay, do you want to dual boot, or do you want to use the whole drive? Wipe out whatever's there and just use Linux. And you say just use Linux, wipe out the drive, and it'll then ask you for a username and a password. Right. And do you want to encrypt the drive? No, you do not. Spoiler alert, you do not. And then you just wait.
Okay. All right, now I think I got a little bit better feel for this.
Now we're not done. Now the first thing you have to install now is Aptik, right, on the new system. And then you just follow the bouncing prompts on the two Aptiks and move all your programs and your themes and your settings, and the new machine will now look exactly like the old machine.
Okay.
And then the next step, copy all your files onto...
Oh, no. Aptik will do that.
Really?
Yeah. Nice. All your themes, all your programs, and all your user data.
APTIC?
IK. APTIK. Yeah, Steve's going to put up a link to it. It's a desktop restore. And it does system settings, applications, and user data. It is not possible to be easier.
Automated package backup and restore.
Yeah. So yeah, you can use Aptik to do that.
Okay.
And again, I've not used it myself
I wish
yet,
I made
but
one
I
like
will.
that for Windows.
I will this week. What?
I wish I made one like that for Windows.
Yeah, no kidding. And well, see, the problem is in Windows you've got the registry.
Yeah. Apps have to be installed.
Right, and in Linux everything has its own configuration file, so you can move the package over
Yep.
and the configuration file, and you're done. So Steve's going to put a link to Aptik up on the website, and you'll be able to see that. So basically, you create a bootable CD, you install Linux on the new machine, you install Aptik on both the old and the new machine, and follow the instructions to move it over.
Okay, well, I'm certainly going to give that a shot, and we'll see how well it works. Thank you.
Good luck. Let us know.
Yeah, Microsoft used to have their file settings in Transfer Wizard, but now they tell you to buy LapLink.
Yeah,
I don't want to buy anything for a one-time use.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And when
well, for you, that would be different.
Well, and I have to buy the site license.
Right.
Technician use was $1,000 or something stupid.
Yeah, it's a ludicrously large amount of money. But yeah, Aptik will do that, and I don't know if it's a Windows-only program. I honestly have not used it on anything else, so I haven't used it on Linux either, but I know it exists. And so you can move from one machine to another. I may be playing with that this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm retired now, so I have my whole week to play. If I could learn to spell Canandaigua, I'd be good. Back to the phones. Our next caller is Dave from Canandaigua, New York. What's up, Dave?
Well, I wanted to pay you guys a compliment. You know, every other time I go somewhere on the phone for tech help, it's like an hour, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and it's like only a few minutes, and I'm in.
Well, yeah, if you'd like to give us your Social Security number and your banking information, we will be happy to take it, but it isn't required.
I in fact, have done that where a guy's, you know, it's from India or somewhere, you know, and he wants to know all about this, and I go, can I give you my Social Security number? Can I give you my bank account number? And he got really angry and said some choice words and hung up on me.
Yeah.
I always say 42 is any numbers, you know, the answer is 42. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, you keep them on the line as long as you can so they're not scamming somebody else.
Right.
So I got let's see, one little question here. I don't need the detailed answer. I've already got Cinnamon installed on a machine in Linux Mint. Can I add XFCE and pick between the two?
Yes.
Okay, there's probably, if I Google it, I will find it.
Yeah, I have not done that. So what you're looking to do is switch GUIs for Linux Mint.
And I think there was, I know with XSFC, that when you first booted, there was a drop-down menu and you could pick which flavor.
Right, you have to install the other GUIs.
Yeah.
And then I think I know it's doable. I don't know how to do it off the top of my head.
Linux Mint Forums has a list.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Steve's gonna post that.
Okay. And my real question, let's see. Yeah, as you get older and your brain starts to rot, you don't remember things. So when I especially when I'm in my car, I want to make a note, but I can't do that while I'm driving in my car. So I need an Android app, where I can just punch a button and make a note, and it transcribes it, and I come back later, and I go, oh, yeah, that's what my rotting brain didn't remember from 10 minutes ago.
Isn't there a base notes app already built into Android?
Yeah.
So you use the hey whatever
keyword, open notes,
or save a note, or write or something like that.
Yeah. So what you can do is you can say to
whatever
Gemini, I guess, and tell it to create a note and keep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or add to my to-do list and keep.
Okay.
Right. So Again, if you've got Android Auto or whatever, you can do it through that or just through your phone directly, however you want to do that.
Right. Okay. I'll try it.
Yeah, let us know.
And the other little note, that Verizon outage, I switched from Verizon to Visible. Now, they own Verizon, but I didn't have any trouble with outage using Visible.
Oh, interesting.
Huh.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Well, maybe I wasn't affected in the first place, in my area, but anyway.
Well, it also is, you're using Visible's servers. You're using Verizon's carrier, but not their servers. So it may well be that the problem was at Verizon's servers, not their carrier. The carrier waves or the antennas.
Right. Who knows? All right, thanks for the help.
Thank you, Dave. Have fun.
Yep, I will try.
Bye-bye. Yeah, that is one of the nice things about Linux, is you don't have to change the version of Linux to use a different graphical front end. You can install multiples.
Mm-hmm. And most people don't even realize what the graphical front end is on Linux or Mac or Windows or Mac. And
right.
Why would you change it? Yeah.
You only get the one.
Yeah.
So, why would you even know that? But on Linux, you have, well, honestly, hundreds. But 2 or 3 that people mostly use. GNOME, KDE, XFCE, Mint, Cinnamon.
Well, yeah, on the Windows side, there's, the big rage right now in a lot of programs is what they call dark mode.
Yep.
You can be running something and, if you don't like the brightness of it and all that, you can, a lot of the programs are offering what they call dark mode, and it literally puts, say, like black background with white text whatever, and it changes the colors.
In the very first days of the GUI, it was a paper white background and a black text, and that
because it wanted to look like paper.
Right. What if we'd have done it the other way? What if we had dark background first? Would we be all excited about light mode now?
We really had dark background because we had black.
Right. You go before the GUI, it was black screen and green or amber.
Yeah, the monochrome screens, and then all of a sudden, once we got Windows, and it's like, whoa.
What seems to be interesting for me is I put dark mode, just as a test, on my phone, and my battery lasts longer.
Yeah.
So I'm not pushing as many pixels.
Yeah.
So now I'm using it on one of my laptops, which has an older, less capable battery, and I'm getting more battery life out of it.
It's weird that when one program supports dark mode, but the other one doesn't.
That could be a problem.
Yes. But yeah, we got used to paper. So when
it was all WYSIWYG to transition from paper to computers and desktop and trash can, all those early metaphors.
Right. So yeah, dark mode was originally for the elite hacksaws, the script kiddies who thought they were so cool to use dark mode. But now a lot of people are using it, and mostly because it saves your battery.
Well, it's easier on the eyes, less stressful.
And
the brightness.
Yeah. If you use real dark mode on Android, you lose a lot of the colors in your app, in your icons. So, again, that helps save battery, but it also makes it a little difficult with some of them to tell them apart. Because, if one looks pretty similar to another, except one is blue and one is green or whatever it is. So they look a little similar, but, you get used to that in
close
about
but
10
different.
minutes. Yeah. So that's not a big deal. But I was surprised that I actually get more battery life out of it. And the same thing on my watch with a black background.
Yeah, it makes sense when you think about it. You don't have so many white pixels to turn on white.
Right, you're not pushing as
so the screen is either on or off.
Right.
Each pixel is on or off.
Right, and if the background is truly black, the pixel is off. You're not pushing electricity into it to make it work.
Well, that's one of the things, with my new monitor, the bigger monitor.
We knew we were going to talk about the bigger monitor today.
And, with the software that the new program has that feature. That was one of the big things they touted was black mode. And that is so much easier because I'm looking at so many different screens within my monitor. it's just easier on the eyes than that blaring white, backgrounds and all that. The dark colors, and they've got the different colors that you can choose within the black mode. That text and all this other different bars and all that. You can change the colors. It's literally a color palette to your liking.
Yeah.
And it just makes the experience of running the program a lot easier.
Most GUIs will let you do that.
Yeah.
On Windows, Mac, and Linux, will let you set a dark mode. Not every program, as Steve just pointed out, not every program respects that.
Well, most of them do now because dark mode's been out for a while.
Yeah, it's becoming, like I say, very popular.
Even just turning your brightness down a notch or two might give you another half hour at the end of the day.
Exactly. It's less fatigue on the eyes. I mean, a lot of folks were going for the longest time there when the monitors first came out with the bright mode, going and getting what they call computer glasses that were tinted.
Yep.
So that the brightness wasn't, ruining their eyes.
Yep.
Crank it all up.
Yeah.
Apple even has a mode called night mode where it can shift your color temperature.
Yes. Many do now,
so during the day, it's bluer. And during the evening, it shifts a little bit to yellow, so it's not quite as jarring when you're using
it's
a
not
computer
quite as
dark.
jarring, and it used to be believed that less blue light made it easier to go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
That's not apparently true, but that was the belief, and so that's one of the things. But it does make it less jarring on the eyes and makes it a softer, smoother thing. I know people
less stress.
I know people who leave night mode on all the time because it's just less stressful. And one of the things about Linux and all other operating systems is you can not only just set dark mode, but you can set a theme that has, for example, a yellow or pale goldenrod background instead of white, which again cuts down on glare and makes it easier on your eyes. So you can play around. A lot of people, as they age, need a little help seeing things more clearly, and they need them larger or whatever. But
bigger.
Also changing the font and changing the color scheme can help. One of the color schemes on this is high contrast. So if you are visually impaired, all the colors on it are designed to contrast well against each other, so it makes it easier to read the screen.
Yep.
Yeah, you go from a 10-point up to now 12 or 14-point text.
Or 16 or 18 or,
Yeah, you just need to. I mean, the eyes, at work, they always had the icon, for the mouse.
Oh, yeah.
Super small.
Yeah.
And I got in there and naturally, being a computer guy, I got to play around.
Of course.
And I wound up, at least on my station, I made the cursor bigger, and I also changed the color on it. And all of a sudden, I had these kids coming, that I work with. I call them kids, but because I'm a lot older than most of them.
They're only 40.
Yeah. Or less. Got one that's 19. And,
Well, they ought to know.
But no, they sit there and, how'd you do that? And I showed them, and now all of a sudden, all the different workstations, we got different color cursors, and they're bigger. And one of the folks came along and said, "Who did this? They're so big." Hey, we're older. We like it a little bit bigger.
That's what always strikes me as odd about people who claim not to know anything about computers. Computers come out in the 70s. They've been mainstream since the 90s.
Yeah.
If you're under 60 now. Computers were brand new when I was in high school.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't even know that you could arrange the tabs because we've got multiple tabs that we have to have open. And I was, you can do that?
That's just the feature. Yeah. That's just the feature they didn't know. Now, how do I send email? What? We've been doing email for 50 years.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're so used to it on their phones.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you start doing it on a computer, and it's like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. No, I get it. It's
like a whole new world.
Right. If it's not something you've ever had to do, you're right. Many of these kids don't have computers anymore.
No, they're buried into their phone.
Yeah.
And Microsoft is worried because people are using phones and tablets And Microsoft has neither of those.
Yep.
They have no operating system for it. They don't have apps for it.
And Windows on a Surface just isn't that good.
It's terrible in
Yeah.
point of fact. Thank you very much. My sister-in-law had a Microsoft Surface, and I've never heard some of those words before. All right, we're going to take a quick...
And you're from an Italian family.
Exactly. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with Dave Enright, Steve Ray, me, Nick Francesco, and you. It's 29 minutes after the hour. You're listening to the longest-running computer show in the known universe. It's Soundbites on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Computer talk you can understand. More Soundbites is next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carton. A federal judge is placing restrictions on the actions of ICE agents in Minnesota. Judge Kate Menendez issued the ruling in Minneapolis Friday, barring federal agents from retaliating against peaceful protesters. Agents are also banned from using pepper spray or similar non-lethal munitions against peaceful demonstrators. The order also prevents agents from stopping vehicles that are following them as long as they're maintaining a safe distance. President Trump is having second thoughts about invoking the Insurrection Act in Minnesota. Before leaving the White House for Florida on Friday, Trump was asked about using the act to quell protests continuing in Minneapolis. Trump said there's no reason to use it at this time, adding that if he needed it, it was available to him. The Insurrection Act would give Trump the authority to deploy the military to suppress a rebellion on American soil. And it's the Seahawks against the 49ers tonight in an NFC divisional matchup. Lisa Carton, NBC News Radio.
Don't worry if you notice small fruit fly-like insects flitting across the room. It's not a sign of bad housekeeping, nor are they harmful to your plants. Hi, I'm Melinda Myers, horticulturist and gardening expert. These small insects, known as fungus gnats, are feeding on the organic matter in the soil. They're not harmful, but can be annoying. If possible, just live with them. As they go through their life cycle, the populations will rise and fall. Allow the potting mix to dry slightly between watering. Since the fungus gnats thrive in moist organic soil, the drier conditions will help reduce their population. If you're still bothered, you can use an organic insecticide with the active ingredient Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, known as BTI. This bacteria kills the larvae of fungus gnats and mosquitoes, but is safe for people and pets. You may need to order online or through a garden catalog. And as always, be sure to read and follow labeled directions carefully. Check out our website for this and other gardening tips.
It's Jazz with David Bassie. You know, as the first 100 years of recorded jazz began to come to a close, I decided I'd offer an in-depth overview. Join us, won't you, for Jazz with David Bassie. The depth and breadth of jazz without getting up to change the record.
Jazz with David Bassie, Monday through Thursday mornings from 4 to 6 a.m. Only on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
I'm Tiffany Haddish.
And I'm Marlon Wayans. African Americans are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer than any other racial or ethnic group.
Access to cutting-edge treatment can help make long-term survival possible.
That's why Stand Up to Cancer and the Lust Garden Foundation have teamed up to bring over 30 pancreatic cancer clinical trials to those who need them.
For more information about the latest pancreatic cancer research and clinical trials near you, visit pancreaticcancercollective.org.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
And now, a check of your Jazz 90.1 weather forecast.
Cloudy with a breeze out of the south initially for the day today across the Rochester area. That wind will shift into the west, and we'll see some scattered showers of rain and wet snow developing. But I'm not expecting any real accumulation. The high temperature in the upper 30s. For your Saturday night, it's mostly cloudy, turning colder. The overnight low temperature near 20 with a gusty southwesterly breeze. On Sunday, plan on a blend of clouds and sun, the high temperature in the mid-20s with some lake flakes flying about. I'm meteorologist Josh Nichols for Jazz 90.1.
And currently right now we've got cloudy skies, 37 degrees out at the airport, and 38 here at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And I'm Steve Ray.
And at 34 minutes after the hour, we are Sound Bytes. And you can give us a call at 585-966-JAZZ. It's 966-5299 or toll free at 800-790-0415.
And we just showed why we are radio people and not musicians.
Yes, we did.
Although you used to be before your arthritis, right?
Yeah. Before the arthritis, I was a banjo
Oops.
player, actually. And pretty doggone. I made money playing the banjo. I don't do that anymore, as I can barely make a fist.
Would the hand even do it?
Yeah, exactly right. All right, so I've read the Microsoft news, and I'm going to read the not Microsoft news. On Sunday, Google removed some of its AI overviews health summaries after an investigation found people were being put at risk by false and misleading information. The investigation found that Google's generative AI feature delivered inaccurate health information at the top of search results, potentially leading seriously ill patients to mistakenly conclude that they are in good health. On Monday, Apple announced that the more intelligent version of Siri that they plan to release later this year will be backed by Google's Gemini language model. The deal is part of a multi-year partnership between Apple and Google that will allow Apple to use Google's AI models in its own software. The Gemini model would run on Apple's private cloud compute servers, ensuring that user data remains walled off from Google's infrastructure, according to Apple. And if you believe that, Google has finally announced the release of the January 2026 update for compatible Pixel phones. The first security patch of the year brings several fixes for displays and graphics-related issues, including a much-needed GPU performance improvement for the Pixel 10 series. It includes fixes for audio, battery charging, display touch, and UI issues. It's rolling out, so if you don't have it yet, be patient. Apple's professional creative apps have been slower to jump on the subscription bandwagon than those from Adobe or some of its other competitors, but the company is taking a step in that direction. Starting on January 28th, Apple will offer an Apple Creator Studio subscription for $13 a month or $130 a year. Subscribers will get access to the Mac and, where applicable, iPad versions of Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Pixelmator Pro, which sounds like something from Cars.
Yeah.
No, what was the name of that movie? Yeah, the Pixar movie.
But yeah, Toy Story? No.
Yeah, the car version of Toy Story, whatever that is called.
Yeah.
Motion compressor and main stage, as well as intelligent features and premium content for the Mac, iPad, and iPhone versions of Keynote Pages, Numbers, and Freeform.
That used to be called Final Cut Studio, and it was $2,500.
Yeah. So this is a subscription. This is a cheaper deal all the way around. Apple subscription prices look reasonable based on what you would pay for an all-access subscription to Adobe's Creative Cloud apps, though Adobe's apps also cover web design, photo editing, and some other use cases that Apple's subscription doesn't. Mac versions of Final Cut Pro, Pixelmator Pro, Logic Pro, Motion Compressor, and MainStage remain available as standalone App Store purchases, at least for now. Google Wallet is getting a transaction history update that improves the core payments experience. At the moment, Google Wallet for Android shows your 10 most recent Tap to Pay and Google Pay transactions from that phone. Select a card from the carousel and tap View More Activity. This list does not even include transactions from your paired Wear OS device. That looks like it will be changing in the future, with the Google Play Services version 26.01 release notes yesterday mentioning that you will now view transactions from other devices and online purchases that use virtual card numbers. Apple warns that iPhone attacks are underway and has released fixes to keep users safe. The bad news is that hundreds of millions of those users are now at risk. Check your iPhone now, particularly those of you who are smug and believe that Apple devices can't get viruses and can't be hacked. You are wrong. So wrong. And if you need to reboot, do so immediately. Go to Settings, General Software Update. If your iPhone is not running either iOS 26.2 or iOS 18.7.3, you need to update immediately. And once you've done that, you can give us a call at 585-966-JAZZ. It's 966-5299. Or toll free at 800-790-0415.
And this is one of the times, generally speaking, Apple supports the current OS and 2 OSs old.
Right.
So that's 26 and then 18. I haven't seen an update for 17 yet, which would be 2 OSs old. So either it didn't have the problem or they're changing their policy. I don't know.
Or whatever the problem is can't be fixed on 17.
Yeah.
Without a massive rewrite. That's always possible.
Yeah.
All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Gerald from Rochester, New York. What's up, Gerald?
Hey, I'm thinking of trying Linux.
Yeah, good for you.
I've been primarily just a kind of a straight user, so and I'm not familiar with all the technical jargon. So my son put Windows 11 on my laptop, so I've got a PC that I really enjoy, and but of course, Windows 11, I get the message that I can't do it.
Yeah, of course.
So I was thinking of putting Linux on it. So I guess it's a question of I know I can go to YouTube, right?
Right.
And get some instruction on how to do this.
Yeah, there's all kinds of videos on how to do that. So again, as we said earlier for somebody, what you want to do is decide which version of Linux you want, and let me make it easy for you: Linux Mint or Zorin, and it doesn't matter which of those two you pick. Both of them look like Windows. To me, Mint is prettier.
Oh, okay.
If that matters to you, but both of them work seemingly quite well. Yeah, either one. And what you do is you go to the website and you download the ISO, the image, and then you use Rufus on a Windows machine or Balena Etcher to create a bootable thumb drive.
Okay.
I think Balena is probably the easier of the two.
Yeah, it is easier, but so whichever one you want to use. And then and certainly in Balena it really is easy. You just say, okay, where's your image? And you point it to the image you downloaded. What do you want to put it on? And you pointed it to the thumb drive you just stuck in, and then you hit go.
Okay.
I mean, it's literally that easy.
Yeah, because they also safeguard that you're not going to all of a sudden put it on your wind up installing it on your hard drive and accidentally wiping out your C drive.
Right. And then you take that thumb drive and you put it in your laptop or on your old machine.
Old machine, yeah.
Yeah. And then you boot that old machine, and there is some sort of key, and I honestly cannot tell you off the top of my head, what machine you have, what key that is.
Every brand and every BIOS is different.
Right, so you want to look on the web. It's usually F9, F2, F12, F11.
Delete.
And you just hold that down while it's booting, and you'll get a list, what's called a boot menu. And you say, I want to boot from the USB drive.
Oh, okay.
And up it comes and says, hey, it takes a while, as Dave pointed out, because it's compressed on the thumb drive. It has to uncompress it to run it, so it takes a while when you're running directly from the thumb drive. It is much faster once it's installed, but on the thumb drive it's slow, and it uncompresses for a while, and then you get a desktop, and you can play around in it as a live CD without changing anything on your desktop, or you can install it.
Oh, okay.
So you just say, there's an icon that says install, and you double click it, and it'll say, okay, we're going to install. So do you want to take over the whole drive, or you want to dual boot? Now, in your case, you probably want to dual boot because you can't run 10 anymore. You don't want to run 10 anymore anyway. So you would say, I want to take over the whole drive, and it'll say, okay, give me a username and a password.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to encrypt your home directory? You say no.
Oh, okay.
And then you just wait.
Mm-hmm.
And it will uncompress all of the files, install it. At the end, it'll tell you, okay, we're done. Hit enter to reboot. And then it'll come up and say, okay, remove the drive and hit enter again. And it will reboot.
Away you go.
There used to be a Linux users group in Rochester. The URL points to some other company now.
Yeah.
But there is an RIT Linux users group.
Yes, there is.
They meet every Friday in Golisano 1445. I'm assuming that's with the GOL description.
Yes, GOL's Golisano.
Well, aren't like all the buildings named after him somewhere?
They're not all named after him.
And I don't see that it says it's students only, but so it's every Friday from 4:30 to 6 p.m. I'm going to post a link to that as well. It sometimes helps to have people to talk
If there's anybody listening who is a member of that group, let us know if they allow strangers,
the public,
public,
yeah,
into the group,
non-students.
Yeah, and really there should be a Linux group in town. I don't know. I'm up for starting one, but there should be one in town somewhere.
No, you
probably not.
Okay.
What? No, your free time?
The Google group. Google's got Android, which is Linux.
Right, and about half of us are Linux users in that group. So we meet the first Thursday of every month at Rochester Google's. You can find the group on Facebook, and you'll see the notice of where we're meeting and when. There, first Thursday of every month. Except this year, because that was New Year's Day. For some reason, we decided not to meet. I don't know why. But yeah, we'd be glad to help people. We don't usually. I mean, we meet at a restaurant, so people don't usually bring their computers, but we certainly are willing to talk and support stuff like that. So. Yeah, we have a lot of resources in town. It's just a matter of finding them and getting to them. And if anybody's listening and you know of some other group that does Linux support, let us know.
Yeah, because frankly, I admit my ignorance here. For example, I'm looking at a web page about something boot drive. It's got OSES things I don't.
Yeah, if you're going to pick a Linux, go to that website's. Go to that Linux's website. So, for example, let's say you're going to install Linux Mint. You go to Linux Mint. Whatever it is. LinuxMint.com.
And if you search our link list, there are several articles on how to easily install Linux.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you go to soundbytes.org, that's Bytes with a Y. Under some important links, the last one is search the show links. And you can type Linux or you can type install or whatever, and you'll get some stuff. And as it says there, we're not Google, so lower your expectations. You've got to do, your searching terms are going to need to be a little precise.
Okay. Good. I'll follow through with that. Thank you very much.
And let us know. Keep us in touch.
Yeah, I will. And now the RIT groups meets Fridays, you say?
Yeah, every Friday from 4:30 to 6.
4:30 to 6. Okay. I'll look that up, see if it's available to me.
Perfect.
Great.
All right. Thanks, Gerald.
Yeah. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I know. I keep thinking I should start a Linux group, and I don't. I'm not.
We had another caller, but this phone system's dropped him. So if you thought you were being put on hold, please call back.
Yeah. And the nice thing about Linux is that if you use a live CD and boot from that live CD, nothing you do will change your hard drive until you hit install.
Yeah.
So you can play all day long.
Mm-hmm. That's why we were saying you get a bunch of flash drives. I mean, they're inexpensive now.
Right.
Throw, different flavors on each one, and then you can go back and forth. So you might try, say, cinnamon first, and then try two others, and then go back to cinnamon just to compare. It'll, spend your day doing it, but hey, you're learning.
Right. You don't have to do it all in one day.
Yeah.
And don't do it on your main computer if you're just looking to play with it.
Right. Well,
initially,
as long as you don't install it,
yeah.
you really it's not that big a deal. But you're right. Particularly if you've got a second machine, an old machine like Gerald has, he's got Windows 11 on his laptop.
Yep.
Now he wants to put Linux on the old desktop, and that makes sense. So he can do that. The toughest thing is which BIOS do you have?
Yeah.
And what's the key combination that lets you boot from a thumb drive? That's and believe me when I tell you, every one is different. It's
Even in the same brand, that's annoying.
Well,
the
yes.
same model line sometimes.
Yes. All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is David from Rochester, New York. What's up, David?
Hi, got a question for Steve. So I am having a great deal of trouble logging onto my Apple account with my computer. It keeps telling me that it's rejected the password, that it's not right. I changed the password on either the computer or my iPad and go back in, and it still doesn't log in. Any suggestions?
What operating system is it running?
On the computer is Tahoe.
Okay, so that's ran into that this morning. Their OS was too old, so it didn't have the right security protocol to encrypt to the web page, so it wouldn't log in. But it didn't tell me that. It just said you can't get here from when you're not.
Get an hour from Yarra.
Yeah, when you're not in the U.S. Well, we're in the U.S. Darn it. And where are you trying to log in? On the website or in the system settings?
In the system settings.
All right. What we have sometimes seen, you need to log out completely. So if you're logged in and it's just asking for a new password, you can log out or sign out, I think is the term they use. Let me look here. Sign out completely, and then restart and sign back in again. Something is hiccuping somewhere. You may want to make sure that your language is set to English. We had another customer who somehow set it to French, and the French keyboard is different, so his password didn't work.
Well,
and if you try logging into the Apple account.apple.com website to make sure that that password is correct and working. So it's possible that the change of password is not going through for some reason.
Well, it tells me it went through. It tells me it was successful,
Good.
and I keep getting more and more complex on this password. I keep adding digits and characters to the end of it, and it just has totally refused to let me log in. Anyway,
Is it possible your shift key is broken and trying to put a symbol in and it's not getting a shift? Try the other shift key. Or try typing your password in like text edit, and then copy and paste it into the password field, so you can see what you're typing. Because Apple doesn't let you see what you're typing. A lot of other websites will let you turn on the eyeball so you can see what you're typing.
Yeah, no, I have it actually saved off as a name of a folder, and I've been copying and pasting it from there.
What it sounds like to me is what Steve said earlier is that there's a glitch somewhere, and that signing out completely will wipe out the setting and therefore the glitch, and then signing back in clean will make it work. Particularly if you can log in at the website and that works.
Okay. I'll keep working on it. Thanks.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating than that.
Yeah.
Because
password incorrect. No, it isn't.
Right. The error messages are terrible.
Yeah.
And B, even if the error messages are okay, is the problem at the web end? Is it beyond the web end? Is it on your computer? Are you fumble fingered? There's so many pieces.
You go to change your password and it says, type your password, doesn't work. All right, forgot password. Type in a new password. You can't use your last password.
Yeah. And the one I hate the most is when after you type your password and it goes, you need 8 characters and a symbol and tell me that ahead of time.
Yeah. Or capital letter or punctuation mark.
Right. I once I used unique passwords in everything, but I was logging into something that you have to log in through your television. So I made it all lowercase letters and a number and several numbers. And it came back and said, you must have an uppercase letter. Okay, tell me that ahead of time.
Yep.
Give me the parameters.
I like that little list of check marks that will check off when you fill in all of their requirements.
Yep. That I like, and but that's
pain in the butt.
Pain in the butt. And that's why a lot of people are going to pass keys now, as opposed to passwords.
Yeah, pin numbers.
Pass keys are even better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Or using your app, whatever your authenticator type app is.
Then thumbprints,
biometrics. Yeah. Those are all better ways to do it. I have, like I said, I've got a laptop that has a thumbprint, a fingerprint, and I use it all the time. Now it's just so cool to me. Okay, there we go. Here I'm in. That's all I have to do. Tap. I'm in. Thank you very much. Happy now.
Working with a guy this morning who didn't have any fingerprints. Well, he had them, but they were like worn off.
Yeah.
Just calluses. And he joked because his wife makes him do dishes all the time.
Yeah.
But
I back when I could play the banjo, I had such thick calluses on my left hand, I couldn't get a fingerprint reader to work on my left hand.
If you have dry skin, in the winter here now, dry skin, your fingerprint change, and then you wear lotion to combat the dry skin, the fingerprint reader doesn't work.
Fingerprint reader doesn't work. If you use pineapple juice, if you get a lot people who work in pineapple plants,
the acid
processing plants can wipe off your fingernail.
Yeah,
fingerprints. It's so that's.
There was a CSI episode where some guy cut off his fingerprints so he couldn't be tracked.
Yeah.
But then he glued them back on in the wrong order. Well, you idiot! That's still a fingerprint.
Yeah, it's still a fingerprint. Leave them off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yes, and to get back to the Linux thing, it's very hard to know which key to use to go into your BIOS or to run the boot menu. And usually you can say, Dell uses F9 or Asus uses F11 or whatever, but that's not a guarantee. So you can do a search, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work, but it's certainly the first place.
Yeah. By manufacturer, they'll usually be about the same. Right.
But a lot of times within the same manufacturer, the Dell, I can't think of any names right now. The one product family uses a different key than another product family. Yeah, the Inspiron versus the Dimension or.
Yeah. And I understand that, but so it is difficult.
Yeah. But it used to conveniently tell you the key when you started on your startup screen, but now it hides that and just shows you the company logo.
Right. And so if you want, once you know it, write it down somewhere. So if you want to play around and install different Linuxes, you can. On a Mac, it's what? Split R something.
Well, they're different keys. Option gets you to the boot menu.
Yeah, that's what you want. Option, that was it.
Yeah, Command R gets you to the recovery prompt.
Right. So so you can do that on a Mac as well. Particularly if you have an Intel Mac, you can put any.
Yeah, true. On an Apple Silicon Mac, it's press and hold the power button.
Right.
Which is stupid because that turns it off. If it is off, it gets you to the boot menu.
It's ridiculous. All right. That music tells us we are done for another week. I want to thank everybody who called in. Great questions this week. And thank you to the person who called in. I've covered that up now. Larry, who called in to give us an answer, which we love that. So thanks, Larry, and thanks to everyone who called in. But we are done for another week. I want to thank Dave Enright. I want to thank Steve Ray. I'm Nick Francesco. I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank Rob Linton for letting us do this for all these years. I want to thank hi, Mom. I don't know what I'm talking about. We're done for another week, but we will see you in just 166 hours. So for heaven's sake, be good to one another, will ya?